This is In the Loop. I'm Andrew Rafferty, in for Christian Bryant. Today, as we continue to celebrate AAPI Heritage Month, we want to take a minute to talk about one positive trend we've seen lately in Hollywood. In the last 2 years, we've seen a rise of Asian and Asian American representation in hit films, like the history-making Best Picture winner Parasite, the rom-com hit Crazy Rich Asians, and now the critically acclaimed Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is in theaters right now. It's important to remember how far things have come for AAPI representation in film, and of course, how far there is still left to go. In a roundtable for Entertainment Weekly during the press tour for Everything Everywhere All at Once, lead actor Ke-Huy Quan shared how this movie was his return to film after quitting acting long ago over a lack of roles.
And the truth is, as I got older, there was just not a lot of opportunities for an Asian actor at that time.
Older meaning like 14?
No, like late teens, early 20s.
Right.
It came, like once a year or once every 6 months, while my peers were like auditioning for like 2 times a week, 3 times a week.
And it's not like Ke-Huy Quan wasn't connected. He had been in some of the biggest movies as a kid. Even if you don't know it, you'd probably seen him as Short Round in Indiana Jones or Data in The Goonies. But his experience having a tough time finding adult roles as an Asian American actor is all too common in the industry. A report from USC analyzed Asian and Pacific Islander actors and roles in 1,300 popular films from 2007 to 2019. And they found that there was little to no meaningful increase in representation, despite Asian Americans being the fastest growing demographic in the United States. Only 3.4% of films had an Asian American lead or co-lead. That's only 44 movies. And of those 44 movies, 14 were led by one guy, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The report also found that 39% of films had no Asian and Pacific Island characters at all. In total, less than 6% of all speaking roles went to API actors. And many roles, expressly for Asian characters, still may be going to white actors anyway. Yellowface makeup and prosthetics have been a fairly common technique used in Hollywood since some of its earliest films. One infamous example was 1937's The Good Earth, where German-American actress Louise Rayner won an Academy Award for her depiction of a Chinese character, complete with prosthetics. Hollywood trailblazer Anna May Wong was passed over for the role because of Hollywood's production code. At the time, it forbade depictions of on-screen intimacy between people of different races, and she was reportedly heartbroken by the decision. Now, while Yellowface has been largely phased out in recent decades, there's been a number of recent roles rewritten for white actors or simply cast as white actors despite being an Asian character, like Emma Stone in Aloha, Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange, and Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell. The 2018 hit Crazy Rich Asians was based on a book by Kevin Kwan, who passed over a large paycheck just to make sure he could be involved in creative and developmental choices, namely in casting. He optioned his book to studios for only a single dollar. Kwan told The Hollywood Reporter that the choice came after one pitch strongly recommended he change the Asian heroine to a white woman to get more interest in the film. He alleges a producer told him, quote, "It's a pity you don't have a white character." Crazy Rich Asians, led by an all-Asian ensemble cast, became the highest grossing romantic comedy of the past decade. When we talk about diverse representation in movies, it's about so much more than symbolic milestones. We're talking about lasting impacts on both the wider culture and for the individual moviegoer. While there's still so much progress to be made, we can also remember this AAPI Heritage Month how far the industry has come, and to get excited about how Hollywood may be changing. For example, Crazy Rich Asians made a huge impact on one former child actor in particular.
That movie just hit me on so many levels. I remember watching it 3 times in the theater, and I cried every single time, and I had serious FOMO. The entire cast made up of Asian actors. And I go, wow, I wish I was up there with them, seriously. And so the idea of getting back into acting, that's where it started. I called up an Asian friend of mine.
Over the past few decades of Hollywood history, martial arts movies have had waves of popularity. These can also introduce American audiences to different Asian cultures and arts. So to learn more about the most recent wave, entertainment correspondent Casey Mendoza catches up with one stage fighting studio behind some of the biggest martial arts movies and learns how the martial arts genre can look pretty different today.
In 1973, the movie Five Fingers of Death introduced American audiences to martial arts, and the genre immediately dominated the US box office. Since then, martial arts movies in Hollywood have come and gone in waves. And now, with films like Everything Everywhere All at Once and TV shows like Kung Fu, Asian Americans are finally leading the charge and pushing for more nuanced martial arts storytelling.
We're in a golden age of Asian American-led martial arts films and shows.
I mean, I grew up on, Hong Kong martial arts films, and those are wonderful, but it's not all there is.
The last time we saw martial arts in the industry, and that was cool, was like early 2000s.
Yeah, with like the Matrix and all, like, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
At the forefront of this new wave of martial arts films is Martial Club, a rising group of filmmakers and martial artists started by Andy Lay, Brian Lay, and Daniel Ma. They've worked as stunt performers, fight choreographers, and actors behind films like the superhero action flick Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, as well as indie darling Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I think it really is a mode to share our culture and our backgrounds, but be able to tell stories that are a lot more layered.
We believe in the potency of the message of Kung Fu movies, and that's why we as Martial Club are trying to revive that genre and tell new stories and send new inspirational messages to today's world.
Starring Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a genre-bending martial arts film that transcends science fiction, philosophy, comedy, and family drama.
Wow, that was really good.
The film's martial arts choreography is as much a storytelling device as it is a visual feast, and it leans into absurdity, which opened the door for Martial Club's wackier, non-traditional fighting styles that we can't fully explain on TV.
They needed guys who were comfortable fighting with and they I think they
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, sign me up, homie.
Beyond the inventiveness of Everything Everywhere All at Once, other films like Disney's animated Raya and the Last Dragon are introducing American audiences to more cultural fighting styles from Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines.
It's really amazing to see some of these traditions that are lesser known around the world gain some more global knowledge as people get to see them.
The world of martial arts is so vast, and Martial Club makes it its mission to explore every facet, every corner of this world.
Pushing forward the representation of Southeast Asian, and specifically Cambodian martial arts, is the upcoming film Hanuman, which stars executive producer and Martial Club member D.Y. Sao.
There's a lot of different martial arts styles all over the world, and the world hasn't seen like Cambodian style martial arts yet. We made a film, all of us, called Hanuman. That's going to introduce the world to Khmer martial arts, and I can't wait.
As this wave of martial arts in Hollywood continues, Martial Club pays tribute to their predecessors.
We are standing on the shoulders of giants who came before us.
We just want to make sure we are representing the best we can, the way, our heroes, their generation did for us.
Casey Mendoza, Newsy.